I don't know what possessed me to think I could finish this coat in 2 days. Just pure hubris, I guess. Hello and welcome back to Lately Fashionable. I am Chelsea Souter and I have been working on a new winter coat to replace my blue wool winter coat that has some issues, mostly with the lining, but also it doesn't fit me very well anymore. And I wanted a coat made from a vintage pattern. This is the pattern I used. It is a reprint of a 1948 Vogue pattern, and it's actually for a dress, and I'm turning it into a coat. And this is my fabric, a beautiful twill weave plaid wool, and I love it so much. Now, if you haven't seen part 1, I will link it above and also in the description, but I can also just tell you what you missed. Basically, I tried really hard to complete this coat in 2 days when I realized that there was snow in the forecast and it was going to be perfect conditions for getting pictures in the snow. One of my favorite things to do, and I don't get an opportunity very often. Spoiler alert, I did not get the coat finished in those 2 days. I only got the lining assembled and the coat fabric cut out, and I think some darts sewn before I gave up on getting snow pictures. It did take me about another month to finish, but it is done, and now I will show you the rest of that sewing journey. If you are on the eastern seaboard of the United States, and sometime yesterday around 2 p.m. you heard a primal scream of rage, that was me trying to pattern match the back seam of my coat. I got it finally. It took 3 attempts. It was after the second attempt that I opened my mouth to make a grunt of frustration and lost control of my body entirely as the rage poured forth. And I swear I startled local wildlife. But anyway, so that was after 2 attempts at pinning and sewing it on the sewing machine. After which I decided to baste by hand first, and I basted up and down across the seam in like a square zigzag motion, and then I sewed over that. And the only problem with that method was that I then had to remove those basting stitches before I could see if it had worked, but luckily it did. It only took 45 minutes, but I did get a beautifully pattern matched back seam that I am happy with. And now I can move on. I am still really looking forward to having this coat done and being able to wear it. Aside from the pattern matching debacle, I'm really enjoying working with this fabric. It's very, very nice to work with. And it's just gorgeous. I love it. I think I have one more set of darts to do, and then I can assemble the coat, try it on, attach the lining, and finish it. Here we go. I was wrong. It's 4 more darts. I hate darts. Pattern matching continues to be a struggle as I attach the side front to the center front, and it's particularly frustrating because I'm only trying to match one stripe. I want this red stripe to match up everywhere across the entire coat at my waist, and I knew when I was cutting it out that there was going to be no way I could match up all of the seams just because of the shape and the extreme princess seam here with the additional dart. And I am going to attempt to match up the side seams, but the side front and the center front only intersect at the plaid stripe right here, and it's just, I've done it 3 times and it's just off. I might leave it, but I also might end up sewing it by hand. We'll see. It's gonna be worth it in the end, I'm sure. I cannot tell you how badly I want to make a brown velvet vest right now, because it would go so good with this outfit, but that's not why we're here. I almost forgot to add interfacing to the front facing pieces, but fortunately I'm actually following the pattern instructions, and that reminded me that I need to interface. So I have this imitation horsehair interfacing that I've used before. I used it for the waistband of my plaid circle skirt because that was a very heavy skirt and I wanted a very stable interfacing. I extended my facing pieces to the hem, and I don't have quite enough on this piece to get the full thing, but I can piece it, I suppose. Yeah, I think I'm going to interface the entire length of the facing. And because this is imitation horsehair, it has different properties depending on which way you cut it out. So if I were to cut it on the cross grain at the collar, it would be kind of floppy like that. But if I cut it on the straight grain, it's going to be a lot more rigid, which is what I want the collar to do. That's a stark contrast. You can really see how much this flops over on the cross grain and how stiff and upright it is on the straight grain. And that is because the faux horsehair threads run this way. They're the weft of the bolt. And those threads are made out of plastic. So there's a lot more rigidity than the warp fibers, which I think are linen or some other natural fiber. So that plastic really holds its shape across, and that's what I want it to do. So I'm going to cut the interfacing lengthwise and continue with my sewing. Okay, after all of that stress of trying to pattern match this red stripe across the side front seam on the first piece, this was first try on the second piece. I will take that. Okay, I have made a couple of decisions. One, which I think will save me time and frustration, and another that will add time, but hopefully not frustration. And I apologize in advance if there's any noise in the background. I have roofers working above me at the moment, so it's unavoidable. The first thing I'm going to do is scrap this plan for trying to match the plaid at the bound buttonholes, because that was just not to be. And the second is to add pockets at the side seams, and I'm going to do both with these scraps of heavyweight black cotton. Okay, I am back after however many days it's been since I last worked on this coat. I took some time off, I worked on other projects, I had a really big win, and I'm going to use that motivation and energy that I gained to hopefully finish this coat before it's too warm outside to wear a winter coat. I need to do the second set of bound buttonholes. This one came out really well, quite pleased with it. So now I just need to replicate my success on this one. I am also going to add a hidden pocket with a zipper to the front facing on the left side. I think this is the left side. And this pocket is going to hold the extra buttons when they are not in use. Oh, did I mention I'm going to use both sets of buttons because they are just going to be linked buttons that I can swap out anytime I want to. What are linked buttons? They are simply two buttons sewn together with a sturdy thread shank, which can then be used to close a jacket whose center front edges just meet. They are not attached to the jacket, just to each other. Okay, I have gone ahead and added the front facings to both front pieces, and I'm about to top stitch along the edge, which I have already pressed. I went ahead and allowed myself to just not be precious with the pattern matching at this seam, even though I did cut it with pattern matching in mind, and I got really close on most of the red stripes, which are the ones that are going to be the most visible, but I'm not going to correct any of them. They're all adequate, and it's really not going to matter. You're not going to see the fact that the edges are not exactly perfect. The collar portion of the facing will get turned out, but it will also be covered with the red velvet removable collar, so the facing doesn't matter as much as every other seam. Especially the seams down the outside of the sleeves, those are going to be the most crucial to pattern match perfectly, I think, and the center back seam, which I've already done, and then to a lesser extent the side seams, which are cut to pattern match perfectly, but I might let that be a little looser. We'll see. Well, little by little, I am making headway on the coat. I took the time to hand baste the seams on the sleeves, which I'll show you what I've done. This is the same method I used on the back seam, where I was finally able to pattern match after 2 failed tries. So what I've done is stitched by hand in this zigzag motion, but a square zigzag, so that I'm always stitching exactly on the edge of the stripe through both layers of fabric. So that way the basting stitches are going to hold the 2 pieces together exactly along those stripes. It is the horizontal stripes that I want to match perfectly, of course, across the seam. I'm not at all concerned about the vertical ones. So now I can go sew these on the machine and see what I get. The frustrating thing is, there's no way to tell if I was successful until I take out all of the basting stitches. Okay, moment of truth. Ooh! Okay, so it's not perfect, but it's pretty dang close. Okay, yeah, I'm really happy with that. It is obviously not absolutely perfect. If you like get really close, you can see it's not lining up at every single stripe. But from here, it looks so good. And I'm really liking this serendipitous little moment where you've got the black stripes sort of flaring out at the bottom, at the bell. I think that looks really cute. I'm not gonna fuss with it. I'm gonna leave it here. I'm happy. It looks good. I am definitely at a point where I want this coat done, and I'm a little sad that it has taken me this long, because knowing Virginia as I do, it's not likely to get actually cold again enough to really need a winter coat. But we're doing it anyway. I'm gonna finish it. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna put it on and finish this second part of the video so that you can see it. All right, this is enough for a try on. I wanted to see how the collar worked, and oh yeah, that is working. I am so glad I did the interfacing the way that I did, because it's doing exactly what I want it to do. It's sitting up and kind of out. It's not flopping over. The back is super upright. I'm really excited. I still need to sew the long side seams, but I am going to go inside and do my zigzag hand tacking before I do that. And that's going to take a while, so that will be my like evening in front of the TV activity. And I can't show you the closure yet because I only have half of the bound buttonholes done. The side I still need to open up the facing and tack that to the inside. But yeah, it's working. It's gonna be a coat. Oh, I'm excited. I hand basted the layers together around the box of the buttonhole so I could see where to cut through on the facing side. I didn't film this, but I turned under the cut edges, pressed them well, and hand stitched the facing to the outer coat along the stitching line of the buttonholes. going to finish this coat. My kids got sick and were out of school for 3 days straight. And you can probably hear in my voice that I have a little lingering cough, and I'm working through it. And we keep having winter weather. It's so strange. It actually snowed last night. It wasn't in the forecast at all, and I wasn't aware that it had snowed until I went to go to the post office. I walked outside into the rain, and there was snow on the cars, on the roof. I was flabbergasted. When did the snow arrive? It is just so unusual for my area to get more than one snow event in a winter. It's very eerie. But if it means that I get to have snow pictures when my coat is done, that will at least be a silver lining. I kind of need to finish it first, though. I added this strip of fabric to the center back seam above the waist of the lining, and then unpicked the center back seam so that when I move my arms around, I will have that extra room for movement in my shoulders. Okay, this is a sexy coat. Sorry, trying to hold the camera steady and swivel my body simultaneously is a challenge. Oh, yeah. I am going to love this coat. Yes. Since this pattern is for an unlined dress, which I'm turning into a lined coat, the lining was cut the same as the full coat pieces. So I needed to trim away the excess from the lining front that was being duplicated by the front facing. Then I just folded and pinned it in place and hand stitched it to the facing. I did not film that part. And it was finally time to take out the basting stitches that held the lower part of the back seam together to reveal the beautifully pattern-matched kick pleat beneath. A very satisfying moment. Okay, I have been doing a lot of work on the coat off camera because it just goes a lot faster if I do that. And it's almost done. I just need to attach the sleeves, hem it, and make the link buttons, and finish the removable collar, which I am sewing by hand, so it's taking a while. But I can show you what I've done, so let's do that. I have fully attached the lining. I sewed it all in by hand because that was just the easiest way to go. And I have added pockets at the side seams. And I'm actually going to show you the inside real quick. So in order to give my side seam pockets more stability, I added this strip of seam tape across the top and tacked it really well to both seam allowances so that the weight of the pocket will be suspended between the two seams and not just attached to the side seam. So hopefully that will not drag the pocket down if I put heavy things inside. And of course we have this little pocket at the facing in the front to store the extra buttons when I'm not using them. Now, as you can see, I have already hemmed the lining. I just did a very basic narrow hem. And for the main body of the coat, I am doing a bound hem. So I stitched right along the edge, adding this vintage seam binding that I got at an estate sale years ago. And then I pressed up roughly an inch. And I think I'm going to stitch the top of the seam binding by hand so that it will be invisible on the outside. And that will make it a bit easier to ease the curved hem because of course it's larger at the bottom of the curve and then you're turning it in and it's smaller as you move up the body. And I think that will give it a very nice finish. Now I'm going to do the sleeves the way I learned how to insert lined sleeves on coats when I was working at Colonial Williamsburg. So start with the sleeve right side out, the lining inside out, and put the sleeve inside the lining. Make sure we're matching up the underarm seam and we have the correct fronts and backs. 1 notch for front, 2 notches for back. Then we're going to pin the lower edges together. And of course, sew this lower edge seam. Often with lined sleeves, you want the actual coat sleeve edge to fold up at the bottom and the lining to be shorter inside so that it doesn't show at the wrist. However, these bell-shaped lower sleeves were designed to have the lining show, so I cut them both the same length. After pressing, I top-stitched 1/4 inch from the lower edge, the same as I had done all around the front facings and collar. So you treat the sleeve as one for finishing the cuff edge. And then make sure the lining is fully out of the way because we are only going to attach the outer sleeve to the armscye of the coat. And then the last step is to pull out the lining. Of course, make sure it's not twisted inside the sleeve. That's very important. And then you're going to fold down the seam allowance and just pin it in place over the stitching line. This gets eased in the same as the outer sleeve. It may be necessary to clip the curve. The lining gets sewn in by hand. Once again, I did not film this part. time to make link buttons. Ta-da! It's finished. Now, as you saw, I did get pictures in the snow because we had one final all-day snow event and I took full advantage. As you have also probably picked up on, I have not yet finished the velvet removable collar, but that is coming, maybe not before next winter. But I'll just do a part 3 video whenever I do get that done. I also did finish the red link buttons, and I do like that look a lot. But it is going to require red accessories. I am going to need a red winter hat and red winter gloves. So I guess I'll add those to the part 3 video whenever I get the red removable collar done. I do like that I can switch out the buttons whenever I want a different look, and I do still want to make a black velvet removable collar as well. And then I'll need black gloves, I guess. I already have plenty of black hats, that's not a problem. I do love this coat. It is very comfortable. It feels very dramatic, but not too over the top. I think from afar, the plaid is really subtle, especially in the snow footage you saw with the black buttons and without the red collar. It's almost understated, and I like that. But I also like the idea of having the ability to add those pops of red for some extra drama when I might want it. Who doesn't love optional drama? So that's my new winter coat done. I am really happy with it, and I hope you enjoyed the journey as well. If you did enjoy this video, feel free to give me a like, and if you want to see more, definitely subscribe. and I'll see you soon with a new project. Bye.